Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and their professional teams struggle to find great capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way to exit your highly appreciated assets tax deferred so you can create, preserve, and grow more wealth. I'm your co-host, Pearson York, filling in for Brett Swarts. And each episode, I'm joined by some of the best wealth, business, real estate, and leadership individuals in the world to share ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together, we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. We're also streaming on expertcresecrets.com, Capital Gains Tax Solutions YouTube channel, the Kingdom Luxury Realty YouTube channel, and the Kingdom Luxury Realty Facebook channel. And I'm super excited about our next guest. He's been around for quite some time now in the crypto space, almost 5 years, and he helps investors invest confidently in alternative assets focused on blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and other specific commercial real estate investments. And so I want to give a warm welcome to Zach Morrow. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Pearson, awesome to be here, man. Don't you love that intro? Dude, I think it's sick the way you guys do the countdown and stream everything. Really builds it up. So it's a lot of fun.
That's all Brett, man. I don't even get any credit for that, man. I don't have that design eye. I'm so spreadsheeted. I would have been like, if it were totally up to me, it would be like, this is Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast number 1. Pearson York. Like total Jocko Willing style.
Right. And we're on for number 2. Here we go.
We're on number 2. No, he did a great job building that out. I got to totally take it when I start my own. So yeah, I'll definitely give him the credit for that one. I'm not that cool. But anyway, so I read a bunch of stuff out there about your experience in crypto and whatnot, but let's back it up. Where'd you start?
How far back you want to go, Pearson? So, hey, for everyone listening, before we got on, Pearson's like, is there anything you don't want to talk about? I'm like, well, I guess not. Where do you want to go with it? But I think we're going to try and stay focused around crypto today because obviously getting you guys the info you need and what's timely right now is most important. But yeah, for me, moved around quite a bit as a kid. Ended up graduating high school, joining the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years.
Thanks
and I appreciate that. And you're very welcome. I appreciate the support. During that time, man, ended up getting selected out of boot camp for a presidential support program and ended up working for a department of the White House in a top secret facility and running a security team and spent 5 years there in the Marine Corps and a lot of time in DC. And so, during that time, I started my family, got married to my lovely wife, who this year will be 13 years married, had our daughter, and she's in 6th grade this year. And now we have a son as well. And we're back in Texas. So in Texas, for me, it was really getting started and figuring out the areas that I wanted to operate and the areas where I felt like I could create a life, a business, and a family dynamic where we could focus on, growing in financial freedom, time freedom, and things like that, and being able to spend and invest time where I valued it the most, right? And so, it's been basically family and business. That's really all I do. Had a guy come in by the office earlier today, and he's like, Zach, you staying out of trouble? I'm like, yep. He's like, is that pretty easy? I'm like, yep, stay out of trouble, man. I work and then I spend time with my family. That's basically it. No room for trouble on there. So yeah, man, out of the Marine Corps, I ended up going to Texas Tech for a while. And during that time, I was working on starting my own business, ended up starting my own business, partnering on another business. And during that time is when I got connected to Blake Templeton, who is the owner, founder of Boron Capital, where I am now a part of. And so, a couple of years into that, we started kind of doing some business together. I was learning and growing, and he was kind of consulting and mentoring for me. And eventually it made sense for me to sell kind of what I had been working on and building and then coming over to the team full time. And so, kind of the historics on the firm is it got started in real estate back in 2006.
Yeah.
And it's something we're still involved into today, but a few years back, crypto really came on our radar and over time, we continue to ask the question, keep an eye on the asset class. And at a certain point, we felt led in this direction that it was an asset class that we really wanted to be a part of. And, now is one that we firmly believe in and are continuing to expand in.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's cool about that is that, you guys kind of took a risk, huh? Like
I suppose, yeah. Yeah, I suppose so.
We'll get into that in a second. So before I do that, I got to get this one in. What is your spiritual gift, superpower, or strength that helped you to be successful today?
Yeah. Interesting question. I would say that one thing that I really focus on is not just understanding business operations, but I really like to understand people. And so, I would say it's a care for the people I'm working with, a care for, just being a good listener. I've kind of adopted the phrase of tactical listening, inside the Marine Corps. That's something you kind of train on is counterintelligence, but I'm always just seeking to listen and learn with everybody I'm around, and then really good at implementing that. So, it's caring for the people you're working with, caring for the people you're trying to serve, and, obviously having a relentless drive towards whatever the mission is ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, listening is a skill for sure. And it is, you can do it and you can do it well, and then implement what you're learning. That's where you get wisdom from. So that's awesome. So, that provides a really good, foundation for everything. If you're, ability to acquire knowledge and then apply it, like it makes you guys a wise firm. So that's really cool. So then that begs the question, why crypto?
Wow. How wide do you want to go? How deep and how wide? How much time do we have? Interestingly enough, there's a lot of different angles at which people are interested in crypto. I think curiosity is continuing to grow, because what we're seeing now is, for a long time, it was that thing that general consensus was, it was kind of like this dark web thing that not a lot of people knew about. And it's for shady, nefarious characters and, all this sort of thing. And, realistically what you have here, and I think what most people are, that I talk to that are really coming to just now begin understanding, is that you have a completely different asset class than has ever existed previously.
Yeah.
Right. And so, a lot of people don't understand that it is a brand new asset class. And inside this asset class, you have an underlying technology, which is blockchain technology. And that technology is being used to provide solutions that are needed in every sector of business operations.
Yeah.
And so it's not just this currency where you have this sort of digital thing that's trying to replace the dollar or become a new, reserve currency or something like that. What you have is you have a completely different asset class with a variety of sectors within inside of it. And that's just now starting to be slowly realized, and it hasn't quite been implemented from the way people are investing into it. But I think the more people begin to understand that, they can realize that where and how they want to participate within inside this broader technology and technological asset class.
And this is a good place to plug you right here, because you have a full crypto masterclass that you guys can get at
legacy.borencap.com/crypto. Got you.
borencap.com/crypto. Sorry about that. I was like mixing words
up. I had a private wealth group I presented to. He invited me in to come present here recently, and we actually recorded the whole thing. And so, I'm happy to make that available to anybody that's interested in it. There's nothing for sale there. It is simply a walkthrough over, essentially why crypto, what's going on in the broader markets, kind of from, a economic picture, and then how that leads into actually understanding how to get started in crypto. So whether you're just getting started or whether you already have experience in it, there's going to be something in there for everybody. I'm certain of that. So anybody that's interested, go grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to check that out, because my question, which I kind of led with the answer, so I've jeoparded this one, but what is the best way to explain, what crypto is to, someone who's a little bit either on the later side of the adoption curve? right? Like, I feel like we're starting to just cross that chasm, right? Where people are finally understanding, okay, you know what? Like, no, it's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So how do we explain this to people? What's the number one secret to explaining that to somebody?
Well, I wish I could say I had the number one way, but obviously we all know everybody learns a little bit different. So I'll try to maybe lay some mental frameworks of how you can process it, and then hopefully that'll help everybody be able to break it down a little bit further. But first, I would start with just saying that it is a technological infrastructure, blockchain technology, that really supports any type of digital transaction. Okay, so anything we're doing on the internet could, in theory, be utilized or could incorporate blockchain technology. And that technology really is a secure ledger or sort of data system that allows for more secure, transparent communication and transactions. So this could be anywhere from the movement of money. This could be in terms of data storage, medical records. This could be, voting. This could be payroll services. This could be title work when it comes to real estate, and a whole, endless list of things that could utilize this technology. Now, inside this space, there's a lot of different, we'll call them cryptocurrencies, but they're really companies that are utilizing this technology to try to provide a good or a service. Now, quick disclaimer, there's a whole lot of junk out there. Okay. Yep. So you just know there's a lot of junk. And it's not just, it's kind of like the idea of like when the internet came out, if you had .com at the end of your name, somehow you have these valuations that become astronomical, but but that wasn't the case. They didn't all have value. But outside of the internet being built, okay, you then had this tech industry evolve out of it that now has a lot of really large players, and a new industry has been evolved. And even everybody within inside the tech space has different application, different utility, right? And so what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to go and identify where and how you feel this utility can be implemented into society. And so when I'm probably jumping ahead here, but what you have is you have different sectors of industry that are supporting this digital infrastructure. And so I'll cap it there and then let you guide it to the next question.
Yeah. So, so I like the way that you're kind of describing it. It's a technological infrastructure that we're building, and with, the advent of, Ethereum and the smart contracts, right? I was trying to explain this to a guy who didn't have like any experience with crypto at all. And I was like, trying to, because he's a real estate investor. I was trying to equate it to like a real estate thing. I was like, okay, if I could like, all right, think about it like this, man. Like maybe like the blockchain, underlying like blockchain technology is like your title, right? And then your smart contracts are kind of like your escrow, right? They facilitate, things and make sure that they go, go through. And then your NFTs are kind of like your deeds, or they, have like your ownership kind of thing. And I'm trying to like layer this stuff like on top and like really simplify it, but it's really difficult to do because there's so much complexity in each like little thing. And there's spin-off projects, and then you have, things that fork and all this stuff. And it can be so like overwhelming. Right. Yeah. And like, what do I put my money into? Right. We had a client who put $50,000 into Bitcoin, and it went up to 50 million. Right?
Yep.
Like you hear those stories like, whoa. And then you hear the story of the kid who, YOLO'd his life savings into Dogecoin, like, and then all of a sudden he's trying to buy a Lamborghini, and he's just like, rich. And you're just like, what is it's Elon Musk tweeted something, and this thing shot up, and this kid just happened to be there, and he just got lucky. Right. Yeah. And it's super skeptical. So where are you putting your money, and how are you sifting through the junk versus the assets that have actual real world applications and real value?
Yeah. So that really is the question, right? And kind of backing up one beat would be understanding that as you're coming into this space, there's a lot of new terms, right? Yeah. And it can feel like a new language, right? You talked about NFTs and forks and blockchain and, all these sorts of things. But really, I think for everybody listening, if we could just take the basic understanding that these are different types of softwares think about it that way, that are, and every software kind of does something a little bit different, right? There's a software for this and for this and for this, just like you have presently on your computer. Now, this is just a next level that allows for a better type of relationship between how everything's working together. But to your point, it is very important when you're getting in there, if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, right? Because long term, there's the utility aspect, right? You might use X, Y, and Z software for your business, right? Like there could be smart contracts directly utilizable for title work, right? Inside of real estate. It's a great application. Right now, there's a company out there that's working on a payroll solution where it would eliminate the entire need for any payroll service, because employees and employers would have an agreement through the blockchain and through the technology that allows payment to actually being paid, virtually by the second, the minute, the hour, however you structure it. And it's settling in real time securely right there. So there's not this ongoing need of these intermediaries. Okay, so those are some utility and real world use cases. Now, I'll tell you right now, I in particular, I do kind of lend myself presently at towards layer ones. And what, for those who don't know, a layer one technology, you can think of it like the base infrastructure or the base software. I mean, like everybody's got a phone, right? If you've got a cell phone, you have a base software of the iOS system or, Google Android system. But, I got an Apple, so we'll use the iOS system, for instance. That base software, it facilitates the use of all of these different apps. So there's thousands and thousands of apps out there, and those would be like a layer two. These are businesses that are built on the layer one, right? Layer one, layer two. And those applications are actually coming in and they're utilizing this layer one infrastructure. They're building a business, and then they're going and servicing, there's thousands of different apps. They're all doing something completely different in business. And that layer one grows every time people are building on top of it and are utilizing it. And then they're transacting inside the actual currency there. And then supply and demand, usage, things like that. That's how you're growing in further value and adoption. But for us, I'll give you kind of 4 frameworks that we like to look at. Number 1, we're looking at adoption. Okay, this is how many people are using it? What's the current, transactions that are taking place? What's the infrastructure look like? How many developers are building on it? Things like that. The actual adoption, the community, things like that. Another thing is utility. What is this actual protocol looking to do? What is this crypto looking to serve? Which market does it serve? And do we believe that that's a good long-term use case? Okay, so utility, adoption. We're also looking at the team behind it. Who's the actual team that's building this, servicing it, the developers behind the actual project that are keeping it going? And then in a lot of cases, we're meeting with these people. We're getting to talk to them. We're going and looking at all of their track record, their background. Do we believe that this team is the team that can bring this project to fruition? And then from there, we're going in and we're also looking at coin metrics. So one thing that's really neat about the tokenomics or the coin metrics within inside of crypto that's different than any other investable asset is you're getting real-time data where you can go in to these sort of, let's call them behind the scenes of what's happening inside of all of these things, right? Whereas the stock market, I've got to wait till the end of the quarterly report where the audit's happening, and then we're getting backwards numbers and hoping we're trying to make a decision on the future based off of what happened in the past, and then I don't have real-time data. Well, actually in the crypto space, it's happening in real time, and we can go in and audit all of that on our own and see all of these different things that are happening sort of behind the scenes. And with that, you can get into the tokenomics and things like that, and the actual coin metrics that will help you with your decision making as well.
Cool. Yeah, let's pause there. So adoption, utility, the team behind it, right, and then the real time data for the coin metrics. Those are great. So then, are you taking your fund, right? How's the fund work, and what? Explain it. How's it work?
Okay, so what Pearson's referencing is we run a hedge fund focused in blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. So as a fund, what we're doing is essentially what a hedge fund is it's an investment pool where you're investing into this greater fund, and then your money is put to work and then operated within inside of this fund. Most people have heard of a mutual fund. I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard of a hedge fund, but for those who don't know, basically all a fund is it's an investment strategy with an investment team that's looking to carry out a specific goal. Our goal is to help people gain allocation inside of cryptocurrency. And what we're doing is we're creating an actively managed index. So from us, we may hold, anywhere from 8 to 15 projects at a time that we go really deep on. And then from there, we're managing to help, one, increase return, and then two, decrease risk. So that's the intention of the fund. So it's allowing investors to gain access into this asset class where they don't have to go and obviously do all this research day to day themselves. They can come with a professionally managed team. Again, you've got a diversified asset class of the actual fund itself. And then, you've got the team actually helping, balance that portfolio and reallocate that portfolio on a regular basis to, again, help increase the return and decrease the risk. Now, like anything, every good investment comes with its disclaimers. So, obviously, any past performance is not, indicative of future returns. It's gone great in the past. Could it go bad in the future? Well, of course, anything could go wrong, right? So it's our job as managers to make sure it doesn't happen. But, I'm always going to tell you it's the worst thing and then work on it to make sure it's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So, crypto could drop in half in a matter of 6 hours.
Realistically, there are pullbacks. So like in 2021, there was, I think, 7 pullbacks of 20% or greater. And so if you haven't been in crypto, 20% is a massive number, right? So when you got 7 pullbacks of 20% or greater in a single year, you're like, what in the world? But Bitcoin itself, I think, finished the year, was it 59%?
50 something.
Yeah, I think 58, 59% end of year in 2021. So even though you had 7 pullbacks, on the longer time frame, you had a roughly, let's call it 59% return from January 1 to December 31st. So, when we look at it year over year, obviously we've seen it be up and to the right. I believe that when we zoom out on a time frame over the next 5+ years, we're going to really see some strong returns inside this space. I think there's still a lot of opportunity within inside of this space. But at the same time, I'm very cognizant. Anybody that's getting in, you need to be very clear on what your time frame is, and you have to understand that if your time frame is next week, next month, 6 months from now, there's a lot of up and down that can take place. And on a shorter time frame, you run the risk of some strong ups and downs. But over the longer time frame, I believe that the market as a whole will continue to show some strong appreciation. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could have, but it could 10x, right?
There you go.
So that's how I positioned it the other day to a friend of mine. He's like, "Yeah, it could have." I was like, "It could, but it could 10x too." So
and it could half win next week. But what does that half do relative to next year? Right. So that's why time frame is so important. If it halves next week, I'll just tell you I'm getting as much cash in as possible. Right. So, I mean, that's you just got to know your time frames. So
absolutely. Interesting. Okay. So what's nice about the fund, as it sounds like, is, if people want some exposure to this, at least, a couple percent of their, portfolio or net worth or whatever, right? They can apply it to a fund like you, and they can almost use it like a light switch, right? They don't have to know how the light switch works. They don't have to know all the, the physics and energy transfer and movement of ions and all this stuff that gets super complicated, right? When you break it down to its cellular level, you just have to know that you hit the thing and the light goes on, right? So kind of like that, right?
Yeah. So the fund is really created for the position to be able to allow investors to allocate into this space, right? Just the same way investors now typically will allocate, and they're not the one managing their stock portfolio. In a lot of cases, they're not the one managing their real estate assets, and they're finding a team of partners, experts to come in and align with inside the asset classes they're looking to allocate with. That's how we've structured this fund, is to allow investors to allocate into the class, gain exposure to it, obviously at the degree that's most comfortable for them, and then grow with inside the space under an actively managed index rather than trying to go and become the expert themselves. Because right now, as far as crypto goes, there's not really much opportunity for investors to gain exposure where they don't have to be the one out there making the day-to-day calls on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to lead me to my next question. what are the tax implications of someone like going into your fund like that? Like how do you are you guys actively like buying and selling and appreciating and taking like an arbitrage? Like how are you guys managing that aspect?
Yeah. So, we are very tax conscious. Our portfolio manager actually is, formally trained as a CPA. And so it is something we're very cognizant of. Now, at the same time, when we look at the fund as a whole, our potential tax implications are long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains. Right. And on any given year, it is reasonable to assume that you may have a little of both. Okay. Because there are times where we're going to be moving certain portions of the portfolio and turning that portfolio over to help protect from the downside or to help increase the upside. Now, we are very cognizant of taxes, but at the same time, not at the expense of performance. So, it is something to be aware of, that there is, potential for short-term capital gains, and it's reasonable to assume there will be some. And then there's also long-term capital gains. Now, as a fund, we are very much a net long fund, and a significant portion of our portfolio is really in longer term holdings. And so we're looking for great longer term projects that we really believe in, and we're seeking to hold those for a longer period of time. So, we will try to reduce the turnover in the portfolio as we can, but at the same time, not at the expense of being able to protect on the downside or obviously, increase on the upside. So that's really, the main things to understand. So everybody's circumstance will be a little bit different, but the way it works is the taxes then come in. So basically, for those who don't understand, we have what's called the fund administrator. A fund administrator is somebody that is a third party that audits and reviews all your transactions. And then they do all the reporting. Then end of year, you have a third party who comes in and actually does a full financial audit, a separate third party, right? Taxes come in, that all comes together. And then you're calculating the actual taxes there. And then they get distributed based off of, your sort of allocation inside of that. And then they're distributed out to the actual investors themselves. So, long-term and short-term capital.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys have a bunch of real estate, holding as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys ever sell an asset or something like that, a real estate asset, and try and, move funds over into the crypto? Are they completely separate? How does that work?
So okay. So you gotta process, in any fund structure, you have what are called general partners and limited partners. And, Boron Capital, while it might be it's the main name of the actual company, we have something called Boron Fund 8, which is focused in self-storage and mobile home communities. But that is a separate entity, right? So, for instance, if I sold assets there are very specific, there's a very, very specific outline of how distributions have to work, how we pay investors, where the money's going to, and how it works, right? So, I can't take an investor's money from Boron Fund 8 and say, hey, we're going to roll that over here and make like an allocation decision. I would essentially have to cash somebody out, and then they would have to say, okay, with my proceeds, I want to move over, right? So from an investor standpoint, they're deciding how their funds are allocated. I want to participate in X. I want to participate in Y. From an actual general partners perspective, so we can put our own money into the fund, right? In which case, so if we had proceeds that came back to, us as Boron Capital or whatever it might be, or Zach Morrow, and Zach Morrow wanted to allocate into it, then Zach Morrow could allocate proceeds and move them over. Yeah.
So let me give you a hypothetical scenario, right? You have a group of investors, right, in an asset that you guys liquidate the real estate asset, and you have some people who want to do a 1031, and they're trying to 1031 into your crypto fund or any other fund, for your example. Are you turning away 1031 money?
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to 1031 from a real estate project into the crypto project, right? So, that might be a great place where you guys could come in and help them, on their deferred tax plan, and then allow them to then take those and reallocate that, right?
I definitely teed myself up for sure, but
well, I'll lob it back to you, brother. I got you. Yeah. So that would be, if you're coming out and listen, we still love real estate and we absolutely love crypto. And I think they go really well together because in a lot of cases, right, with our real estate, and I'll tell you, our real estate is everything we're purchasing now is longer term minded. And so, that's a lot more holding. We're returning capital first. And things like that. So anyways, on that side, we're able to bring in passive losses. And then in which case, when we have these, passive gains on the crypto side, people that are participating in both in a lot of cases can help offset some of their gains, right? So there's a lot of synergy between the two. And also we just love the asset classes. So they just, work out well and nicely together. Yeah, together. So interestingly enough, people are like, how'd you get from real estate to crypto? And I'm like, well, fundamentally, when you dive deep down into it, I don't even see them all that significantly different. There's a lot of fundamentals that I look at and I love, in terms of like owning the real property and having the thing and, but without getting into the depths there. But just from a practical standpoint, yeah, we're still allocating money over into real estate. We're still allocating money into crypto and they do work well together. So for all my real estate investors listening, it's probably an opportunity for you to look at how to get some exposure into the crypto market.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have clients, that are selling crypto and they're going into real estate, or they're selling real estate and they're going into crypto, or they're doing a portfolio of both and diversifying and whatever. And some of the, the big frustrations that I get a lot of the time with the 1031 is that, you have to go back into real estate. Which real estate's awesome, but if you got 45 days to identify, 180 days to close, and and you're in this highly appreciating market, right? You're selling high, and then you're turning around, you're buying even higher 6 months later. And they don't pencil sometimes. And like you guys said, you don't ever want to let the tax tail wag the investment dog, right? And so 100%. you pigeonhole yourself sometimes with the 1031s, and if you're syndicating and you're doing the thing, so we have that deferred sales trust solution, which allows you to liquidate out of any highly appreciated asset. It doesn't have to be a real estate. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It doesn't have to be stock or business. It can, but it doesn't have to, right? It could be any one of those things. And you can go into any other asset, including your Bitcoin mining fund and some of your real estate portfolio, right? And some stocks and some, some business ventures or whatever, right? It gives you complete and total flexibility. And so for your partners, and especially you as a fund and syndicators and as, crypto and real estate investors, it's a phenomenal solution for you guys because it provides so much. And it's crypto people, when they find out, holy crap, I sold, Bitcoin for, $5 million and I bought in it at 5,000. Right. And all of a sudden they have 1.85 million in tax.
Right.
And they're like, wait a minute, what? Like, if I just how am I supposed to get this out of here without liquidating, 30% of my portfolio? Like that, So the deferred sales trust is the best way to do that. And you can find out more about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And we have a mastermind group every week. It's actually Crypto Mastermind Group. So if any of your people are interested in that, it's every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. We do it. You can find out more about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. So there's my shameless plug.
Let's do it. Hey, no shame at all.
No shame.
People need to know, man, you're helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't know. And that's the thing. I was on another show with a CPA, and he was talking to me about a similar concept, but it wasn't the same. And I was like, well, here's some things that, you might want to think about. And so we talked about all that. You guys can catch that on the previous episode that will go out there on YouTube. So go check that one out. Hit the like button, smash the like button in the face is what we determined was what the cool kids say today on YouTube. So we're dropping that one. But cool. All right. So I know we're kind of running out of time here. So let me get you into the lightning round. And
lightning round.
We'll go from there. So what's your favorite leadership quote?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to take this Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God.
Good. I love it. That's why my thing's called Kingdom Luxury Realty.
Gotcha. Well, shoot, man. And you're going to put me on the spot. That's where it's going to end up. So
love it. Everything else will be given to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. What's your favorite book? Probably the Bible.
Yeah, definitely. But aside from that, I would say that, man, I have this conversation every time anybody asks me about favorites. We got to go section. I'm like huge on context. So like context is like one of my favorite things to like understand. So favorite for what, you know? So there's a lot of favorites. So I can't narrow it down. So what are some good ones? You know, a couple books you mentioned Jocko. I think Extreme Leadership's a great book. You know, down that same vein, David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me, great book. You know, again, I really like, and this is just kind of, you know, moving outside, but if we want to go Bitcoin, Thank God for Bitcoin, Robert Breedlove, Jimmy Song, and a few others, great one. Really they do a really good job of helping understand the way the financial system currently works in the US.
Right.
And it's really eye-opening and understanding like, oh, that's why things are the way they are presently, right? I think a lot of times in economics, we're sold that this is the way things are, but nobody ever goes back and understands why they are.
Right.
If you don't understand why they are, there's a system that's created this thing. And now that it is this thing, we then have to make decisions based off the way the thing is operating. And then, of course, determine whether or not we want to continue to operate that in way into the future. So that's a very simple book. Thank God for Bitcoin.
What was that? Thank God for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. That sounds like a great read. All right. And then what are you most curious about right now?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm okay. It's very simple. Again, things that I'm curious about. I love people. I love learning about people and understanding, you know, kind of what makes people tick. So that definitely revolves around the way that we manage our investments. So I'm super curious about where things are going to end up. It's like a lot of game theory in terms of like where the crypto markets end up. That's super exciting to determine like what all could happen, how people are going to react to different changes. Obviously, crypto as a whole, I'm super curious about. I'm also super curious about you know, personal development and understanding how I can be the best I can be, man. Like, because I want to be able to, you know, love the people around me better, right? I want to be able to care about the people around me better. So how do I go in and study of like, you know, being more present? You know, that's something I'd like to be. How do you become more present? How do you become more, you know, grounded in your listening and understanding of the people you're with? So yeah, okay, I'm rambling, but there you go. There was something in there along the way.
Yeah, there's some great nuggets. How to be better person, better leader, you know, and do right by people and just, you know, make them feel the best. So this has been awesome. I'm going to access to your free capital or crypto masterclass, legacy, legacy.boroncap, BORONCAP.com/crypto, CRYPTO.
Yeah. And I don't know if we covered it, but, you know, for those of you that actually are in the position, if you're an accredited investor and it is something, you know, you are interested in learning a little bit more about what we do and how we do it, how to become a part of it. Yeah. What's up on the screen right now, the text, that's the best way to get a hold of us. And it is a text, not a call. So make sure you text, you just text the word info, INFO to 877-771-0615. And, you know, it's not some automated system that actually goes right to me. I'll be the one reading it. I'll end up being the one that's calling and responding. So, you know, get connected. You know, I could tell you that the market as a whole obviously has its ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of things happening, but everything's moving this direction. I think you're going to thank yourself in the future for taking action and actually remaining on offense rather than being a part of the wait and see group, you know? And so, you know, I'd say, yeah, text, get started, learn more, be curious, right? And curiosity is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. So that's text info to 877-771-0615 for more on that. Cool. All right. And if you guys want to learn more about the Deferred Sales Trust, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com for that. Every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're in Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Southern California coastal Orange County market, and you have a primary home that's highly appreciated and you want to liquidate and invest it instead of pay the government all that tax and invest your money with Zach and get some exposure to crypto, you can reach out to me at kingdomluxuryrealty.com or capitalgainstaxsolutions.com.
Is that where you're at, Orange County?
I'm in Orange County, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm originally from that area.
Oh, right on.
Texas, yeah, from San Clemente.
Oh, good spot. San Clemente too. Dana Point. I'll go all the way down to Dana Point. So all those areas, and you guys can find me there. Don't forget to come to the mastermind group every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Zach, any parting words?
Man, Pearson, I think we covered it. I appreciate you having me on. I'm thankful to everybody that spent this time with us, and look forward to see how I can serve.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again, everybody, for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way to create, preserve, and grow your wealth. Please rate, review, subscribe, smash the like button, and do all that good stuff for the YouTube algorithm, right? And the Facebook algorithm, and hopefully the new Twitter algorithm, and all that stuff.
That's right.
That's going on. So, all right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. And Zach, thanks again so much for coming on the show, man. It was great to have you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Have a good one.